Welcome to the Goal Achievers Podcast, where we interview the most preeminent business experts, authors, and speakers in their field of expertise, and provide you with the specialized knowledge needed to achieve your goals. Now here is your host, author, founder of Goal Achievers International, and one of the top speakers agents in the industry, serving over 5,000 events and meeting planners worldwide. Please welcome Phil R. Taylor.
Well, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of the Goal Achievers Podcast. And to start off the year, we have an exciting guest that will really set the stage in terms of building a foundation for goal achievement. His name is John Cale, who is a highly successful entrepreneur, sought-out speaker, and author of Finding the Answer. At the core of John's rich and fascinating background, which we'll soon discover through this time together, he's always felt pulled into business and worked to help companies drive growth and revenue. Ultimately, John founded a tech company with two of his friends and changed how banks look at and reach their consumers using the digital spectrum. His career also included a VP of sales position and working in healthcare. Now, as an author, John has written a book, not as someone, as he admits, who's figured it all out, but someone who's made some mistakes along the way, some bad choices. He's learned from it. He's also gone back and made amends with those that have been hurt by this. But here we have John, who's going to just share with us a little bit about this fascinating book that he's written, which I have right here, called Finding the Answer. And John, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Phil.
It's great to have you, John. Now, right off the bat, I'm fascinated. Whatever prompted you as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, to write this book, Finding the Answer?
Well, I would say that probably one of the main prompts was that, being raised in the church and having been in ministry for several years, and for a period of that time, it was bivocational, right?
Yeah.
I've always had a real heart to help people find the right answer in life. And, even during my business career, even though that's where I was spending the majority of my time, I still had a passion inside to help people find the real answer in life, which is Christ, as we know. And I felt through those years that we needed to be able to be relevant to people who are looking for an answer with the gospel. I think so many people, I felt that so many people have an idea of what they think the answer may be in life. They may be looking in different places, and whether they're 18 or 25 or 40 or older, they're still exhausting lots of different ways to find an answer and find true happiness and fulfillment in life. And, I really felt that back several years ago, I had a friend and we were talking, and he said to me, one of the things that we talk about is that a lot of people might be surprised to find out that God just may not be who they think he is. That they've got the wrong idea. And so I felt that we needed to be more effective at taking the gospel, the reality of the answer that we were all made for, and there's only one answer that really fills and completes our life, which is a relationship with God, and somehow find a way to make that relevant, to get that answer in a relevant way to the average person who's working in their careers, working no matter white collar, blue collar, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
The average person, being able to speak to them in a very real and relevant way, and help them to realize that there really is an answer. And they may have looked and created a picture of what they think it is throughout their life, but it may in all actuality be the wrong answer.
Yeah, interesting. And in reading your book, John, you drew a very interesting analogy, and you could explain it better in your words than I can.
Sure.
Is just imagine if a friend of yours conveyed a description of you to another person,
right?
And how one would conclude. You can explain it a lot better than I, but I think it touches on what you're speaking about.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, this comes down to
Yeah.
a crossroads, right? The book is really a conversation
Right.
with the reader. This is not about John. This is
Right.
not me quoting a lot of scripture. This is a conversation in which the reader is reflecting for a 20 or 30-minute
Right.
period of time that it takes them to read till they get to the back end, and it's kind of a decision intersection where
Yeah.
they need to make a decision. And the real question that I pose is one that most people that I've talked with have never considered before
Yeah.
in really finding the answer, and that is that that in order for us to really know someone, we have to have a relationship.
Right.
If I say I know Phil Taylor, it's one thing for me to know Phil Taylor. I know what you do. I know, I can look at LinkedIn, I can look at the things that you've got on social media, but I
Yeah.
don't really know Phil Taylor. I don't really know the kind of clothes you like to wear, the foods you like to eat, the places you like to go. That comes from relationship, right?
Right.
Getting to
Right.
know you as a person. And so at the end of the book, I pose a question to the individual that says, imagine a friend of yours coming up and saying, "Hey, we'll use you, Phil, for an example. That
Sure. Sure.
Phil, I met Phil the other day, and he knows you, and Phil told me that you're a complete idiot."
I would never
And
say that now.
right, right, and this person would say, "Well, who is this guy, Phil? Who, right? Phil
Yeah.
Taylor."
Yeah.
And Phil and I'm having a hard time. The individual says I'm having a hard time trying to even place him, but it does seem like I remember meeting him maybe for a few minutes, and
Yeah.
I'm really having a hard time understanding why he would make this judgment on me. Why would he say these things about me? Maybe he has got me confused with someone else. Maybe, there's a misunderstanding here. I just don't understand.
Gotcha.
And the point being that, in that scenario, um, you know, Phil may have said these things about me, but Phil doesn't know me. Your friend says, "Look, this guy doesn't have any idea who I am. He doesn't know
Yes.
me at all." And I say to the reader at this point, now imagine that that's how God feels every day,
Yes.
because he is misunderstood. It's not that God himself causes confusion or misunderstanding. It's that the world we live in and, the prevalent forces around us, right, that are trying to battle and war against the things of God,
Yeah.
try to keep us confused and deterred from really understanding that really what God's looking for is a relationship.
Yes.
And so people have made these similar scenarios in their own life. They've made a decision, they misunderstand who God is. What I say is they paint a picture through their life that is composed of pieces of things they've heard from their childhood, they've
Right.
seen, they've listened to, they've they've memorized, they've observed, they've seen on media, and they've painted a picture of what they feel the answer is in life and
Yeah.
who God really is. And at the end of the day, they've really never come to Him alone and said, "I would like to know if you're real, just you and I'd like you to prove that to me." They've
Huh.
listened to everything else.
Yeah.
They've never really come to a point. They may say things to people, they may tell people certain things, but when it really comes down to it, and you say, "Hey, have you ever spent time really genuinely asking God to show you if He's real and who He is?"
Yeah.
And that is the real kicker at the end of the book for people to consider. And
Right.
then there's a pathway from there. That's the crossroad.
Interesting. And there's so much to be said. And what's interesting to note, this is not your typical book, is it? What makes it different from just reading another self help book, for instance?
Yeah, the difference here is that I think a lot of times books can be comprised of a lot of information that is researched, good
Right.
data, good information that people find from lots of different sources and cite them in the book, right? The way that
Right.
you have to, you cite
Yeah.
the sources after you do your research. And then they put that into an order and create a book.
Gotcha.
This is a book of information from these other places, right? From these other sources. One of the things that's different about this book is that this is truly, I would tell you, a book from my heart.
Right.
It's truly a book from experience.
Yeah.
And it's truly a book that comes out of a heart, a burden to really help the average person in life understand that God loves them. And they may have just completely had the complete wrong idea of who he is and what he wants to do in their life. And it's a conversation. So you're not going to find a lot of statistics in here. You're not going to find a lot of research on data in this book. What you're going to find is a lot of common sense conversation that gets the reader thinking from page 1 till
Right.
20 to 30 minutes later about their life, how they've got here for real. Like,
Yeah.
how did you get where you are?
Yeah.
How's life working out for you?
Yeah.
And are you happy? Have you found the answer? Why are you still empty at this point?
Yeah. So it's a process of self-discovery. And how long is the book? How long will it take you to read through it?
Yeah, it depends. I would tell you anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes.
Really?
As I mentioned, yeah. On purpose, very strategically, I felt in the creation of the book over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be a period of time that somebody would read it. I think that there's a statistic, I can't put a note on it from where, but I believe I heard that about 70 or 80% of people who pick up a book that's reasonable in size, 150, 200, 300 pages, only 70 or 70, 80% of them never finish the book.
Sure.
And in all reality, if you think about that, you bought a book for a reason.
Yeah.
You bought the book because of the subject matter, and you were looking for something to impact your life from it. And you spent the money, but you never got to the impact.
Yeah.
And so I wanted something that the average person in the world we live in, where there's so many things pulling at us and for our time, right?
Yeah.
That literally in 20 or 30 minutes, they're reflecting on their life down to an end and come to a crossroads where they can make some decisions about how to potentially find an answer that's much longer lasting, that can change them.
So, from my understanding, the book is not one where you're trying to persuade somebody to a point of view, but simply to be open-minded and to honestly ask yourself the questions that are very basic in life, like why am I here? What's the purpose of life?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so interesting that the most important questions that pertain to life are those that we seem to avoid and not talk about. You rather talk about baseball or or something else. So it really hits to the heart of the matter. And it's interesting. What you're proposing is a 20 to 30 minute investment of your time to discover the most important answer to life. And you're not pushing, from my understanding, any theological viewpoint, any philosophy. You're not trying to convince that person who's reading to be anything or to buy into anything other than to be honest with themselves.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I really don't even propose the God question or subject till the very end of the book.
Right.
Once they've taken the time to reflect. I mean, in all reality, this is the conversation that you want to have with somebody like your next door neighbor, right?
Yeah.
That it's not churchy, right?
Right.
It's not.
It's not religious.
Exactly. If you look at the book, there's nothing on the outside of the book that would scream that this is a church book, right?
Right.
Again, very intentional, because I wanted people to really understand, if you just take time out of your busy life, all of the things that are pulling at your mind and your attention, and you take 20 or 30 minutes to just think about you, right? I mean, how often do we really pull away and just say, hey, where am I on the journey of life, and where are the mile markers I'm at, and what have I passed, and what's yet to come my way, right? And reflect on who you are.
Yeah.
And then it brings that element of, well, wherever you're at right now, you may have looked at your career and as the place where you're going to find the answer,
Yeah.
right? In climbing that ladder and making the
Yeah.
money and getting the
Yeah.
promotion. And at first it's great. At first you get the big job, you get the career, you get the position, the power, the money, all of it together, right? And at the end of the day, it comes back around and you still feel empty. It goes away. Or you look in a relationship thinking, hey, this person, this individual is going to change my life. This is it. I'm
Yeah.
going to be happy and fulfilled. And maybe at first, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then it's empty.
Yeah.
Or you chase the shiny things of life. You know, you
Yeah.
get the car, or you get the home, or you get
Yeah.
whatever it might be. At first, it's awesome, right? But eventually, it's just another car, right?
Yeah.
It's not fulfilling. Or then one of the big ones for all of us is acceptance, right? We chase the acceptance of people. I want people to accept me, approve me, right? And I want to feel included. And then you realize, even when you're accepted by those people, these people are still imperfect. We're all imperfect, right? We struggle. We're human.
Yeah.
And you go through all of these different stairs in your life, and here you are going, if I've had all these different areas, multiples of them, all of them, why do I still feel empty, right? And that's really the premise of the book, is to really take a look at yourself and say, well, what haven't I tried? Well, I have this belief in God. Maybe the picture's wrong. And I need to zero out and come back to ground zero and say, you know what? I should start from here and just be honest with myself and maybe try and see if this is for real by myself without anybody pressing on me. And that's all I do, is basically say, consider these things.
Yeah.
And if you're really serious, try this.
So in essence, what you do is you wrote this book, but the person who's actually writing the book is the reader. You're right.
Yes, that's really true. Yeah. They have an opportunity to write a different story.
Yes.
As to it. And to write the ending in a very personalized and customized way for themselves. That's true.
That's fascinating. And you were talking about you might achieve these things, but here, John, you're a highly successful entrepreneur. You started a tech company with two other partners. You sold it, from what I understand, for a very admirable, for good profit, and so you've experienced all the glitzy things of life, the dream car, the dream home, the attention, the fame, the riches, and so forth. But yet there's still a part of you that's not fulfilled.
Yes.
That can only be met by the relationship that you're talking about. So
that's right.
And what's interesting is a lot of people that come on the Goal Achievers podcast to listen to it want what you've already achieved. The financial independence, the house, the car, they want that. How do I get there? What are the tools and the resources and the know-how do I need to get to that place? But you're living witness that you can have all that, but still feel empty. And that there's something far more fundamental to life than just the achievement of those things.
That's absolutely right. There was a period, Phil, in my life where I got tired of the whole corporate ladder thing, right?
Yeah.
And I actually left and taught juniors and seniors in high school, marketing strategy, sales strategy, entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Was awesome. I love working with young people.
Right.
And I learned a lot, more about them. I've worked with them for many years, but one of the things that I used to tell them was, I used my story and my career was a good thing, because they had seen that I had success, and now I'm teaching this class on helping them understand maybe ways to get there, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I would tell them was, listen, guys, I tell you, as a person who has climbed the ladder, who has had the great job, who made good money and was able to get things in life, that once you get there, it's not what you think it's like.
Right.
And you could spend 20, 30, 40 years of your life searching to get all these things. And then once you get there, realize that this does not fulfill me. It doesn't satisfy. It's really not the answer. And I tried to help them understand talking to them as teenagers, even when I was teaching, guys, there's nothing wrong with success, right? But we are wired much deeper than
Yeah.
any of these surface level things.
Yeah.
And we can spend a lot of our life searching for these things,
Yeah.
and trying to fill a hole that was designed inside of us to only be filled
Yeah.
by a living and real and true God.
Sure.
Nothing can ever unlock that door.
Sure. It's really the sad recognition that what if you spent all your life climbing the ladder of success only to find out it's been leaning on the wrong wall?
That's exactly
Right.
Yes.
And you get to the top and you go, no, that's not what I thought. I
Yes.
was putting all my effort and energy into time into it. So very fascinating. And it's interesting. Another statistic is that people spend more time planning out their vacation than they do planning out their lives.
Yeah.
It's that something?
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting.
so here we're at the new year, 2024. What better way to reflect on the past and the future than right now in January 2024? And these are very interesting times we look at. And what you're proposing, from what I understand, is just stop for a moment, invest 20 to 30 minutes of your time in self reflection, and let the rest take care of itself. Is that not what you're saying with this book?
That is, yeah. That's exactly right. One of the things that I think I've mentioned to you when we talked previously was, it took 5 years to put this together.
Huh.
There were some things trying to do that in between, some career things and different things in life. Could have been shorter, but there was a lot of strategy behind really trying to put something together that was relevant to the time that we live in. I really believe that this has been I'm blessed to have been given this thought process and this
Yeah.
direction, and I believe it's really for this time and age that we live in, where we have to be able to articulate to people the right message for them to listen to it. And there's so many things in the world today where people are approaching things not in the necessarily in a way that is being accepted by the average person, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little too strong, maybe a little judgmental, and I really tried to not get into any of those things and just say,
Yeah.
listen, this is about you. And at the end of the book, one of the things you'll find in the back of the book, depending on the reader, will have a choice to make at the intersection at the end, to take a couple different paths, right?
Right.
There's a couple paths they can go down. I didn't leave them hanging.
Yeah.
Or they can walk away. But the one thing that I try to do is I say to them, listen, the one thing that I don't want you to do is don't change anything right now in your life. I'm not calling you to, come to a decision here to go down a path and now you need to fix all these things in your life before you go. No, you don't change a thing. And I actually say it again in the book, don't change a thing. And I'm like, this is not a mistake. This is not a typing error in the book. You start the journey and you start this process if you truly want to know what the answer is, as you are. You don't try to be something you're not. You don't think that you can fix up yourself and make yourself presentable, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just start the way you are in a very honest and open way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been said, to quote maybe Thoreau, that most men live lives of quiet desperation still inside of them. And there is that quiet desperation that, if one acknowledges, is evident in their
Yeah.
own lives, but not so quick to admit it publicly. And what this book does, from my reading it, is it really gets to the crux of life's issues. And how does this relate to goal achievement? It's about determining your definite chief aim and purpose in life, and building from that point. It's really the foundation of everything else. And Jesus said, what profits a man if he gains the whole world but loses his own soul?
Yeah.
What's more important, than one's own soul? I mean, we're like a withering flower, in the scope of eternity that appears for a season and then disappears. What really matters in life? What's important? And I
Yep.
believe, John, your book really addresses that question. Not that you impose it on someone, but
Right.
you let the answer appear for itself,
Right.
which is really beautiful.
Right. It truly is. It truly is something to try and get, just to provide. I almost feel it's kind of a safe harbor.
Yeah.
That in the midst of life's storms and struggles and distractions, right, that would
Yeah.
keep somebody from thinking about their spiritual life and a relationship with God. And
Yeah.
I think many times in the world we live in today, um, because we have so much going on, right, with
Right.
like video games and AI and so much
Right.
technology, that when we think about those things and then we think about God and supernatural things,
Yeah.
I think that it kind of blurs that line about how holy and how omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient, all those big words, right, that
Yeah.
God is.
Yeah.
Because we see these things on games that are unbelievable, and we watch
Yeah.
movies where these guys should have died at
Yeah.
least 40 times in these action movies, right? You're
Yeah.
like, is it possible to hang from a helicopter and land on this car?
Right.
The car blows up and he walks. I mean,
Right.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, right? You
Sure.
get it.
Yeah.
But I think that all of those things that we enjoy from an entertainment perspective sometimes kind of, as humans, makes God kind of come into that category, right? If
Yeah.
we really don't know him, it's just
Yeah.
another movie. It's just another sci-fi thing.
Yeah.
And so this book, I believe, is kind of a safe harbor for people to pull into, and it's calm, and they come
Yeah.
away from the distractions. And the hope is here that, as people do that, number one, God is going to take note of the heart of an individual who
Right.
says, look,
Right.
I'm hurting.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I have no hope. I don't know where to go. My life is just crashing. God hears that, and he will draw close to that. And if the readers are genuine in their heart, and they choose to move down a pathway to allow God to unlock some things in their heart and their minds, it's a life-changing, eternity-changing book that will revolutionize their life, and they will never see things the same again.
Amen. Amen to that. And so, John, this is the book here. I'm holding it. How can someone get a hold of a copy of this and learn more about what you've
Sure.
been sharing today?
So the book is available on Amazon.
Okay.
If you just Google "Finding the Answer" with my name after it,
Yeah.
the book will come up,
Yeah.
and you can order it. This specific time is a very busy time, right? At this time of the
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
everybody knows we're in the holiday season, and FedEx, UPS, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Sure.
So, but the book is available in hard copy and in
Yeah.
and in ebook.
Okay.
So it's very easy to get a hold of. I have a website as well. You can order through the website if you want to understand more about what my heart is and background with regard to myself. It's
Yeah.
findingtheanswerbook.com.
Findingtheanswerbook.com.
Yep.
And that will tell you a little bit more. And what's different about this book that I love as well, in closing, is that there's some scan codes in it where
Right.
people can get further insights by just scanning a code on some of the pages that you have.
That's correct.
Right?
If you flip
Okay.
open there, if you were to flip open toward the beginning, the first
Yeah.
section, there'll be a
Yes.
QR code that you could show. I think most people, there it is. I think most people, I can't see it in my screen. I did see it briefly.
Okay.
Most people are familiar with the QR codes. You just, hold your camera up to it.
Yeah.
And what we've done is we've taken the QR codes and put them at the beginning of each section of the book.
Okay. Yeah.
And that then goes to a video. There it is right there.
Yeah.
So that goes to a video of me sharing for about 60 seconds what the reader is about to read in that section. About a minute, just giving them kind of a, hey, here's what you're about to read. Here's what this section's about. And so there are multiple places in the book where I have those codes. I think actually throughout the whole book, there are probably something like 10 or 12 of them.
Really?
At different points, depending on what the reader wants to do, they can hit that code with their phone. So it's kind of interactive.
Cool.
In addition to that, I kind of go on the journey with them and just kind of help them understand what's going on, what's coming next, that kind of a thing. Correct.
That's great. It's like having someone walk with you through the journey. It's very personal, and you have access to you. And you're very open. And I know, John, that you're not doing this for money. You don't need money. You don't need fame. You don't need power. You do it because you love people.
That's
you
right.
Love people. And that's the thrust of where this is coming from. So with that said, John, thank you so very much for being our guest. It's hard to believe that 30 minutes has flown by here, but you've given us a good taste of what we can expect going into your book. And as a listener, if you like what you heard and seen today, please feel free to like and share this podcast with others and subscribe to our channel. We'd appreciate that as it helps spread the good news. So, John, a happy New Year to you. And I'd encourage everybody to go out there and find the answer. God bless you all. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Phil. My pleasure.
You've been listening to the Goal Achievers podcast with professional speaking agent Phil R. Taylor. For free access to all Phil's resources and interviews, please visit myspeakersource.com. Or if you are an event or meeting planner and would like more information on how we can equip you with the perfect speakers to make your event a huge success, please email us at speakers@myspeakersource.com or give us a call at 407-900-2427. This has been a My Speaker Source production. On behalf of Phil R. Taylor and the entire team, we wish you a blessed day as you pursue the achievement of your dreams and goals.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside, send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show.